right now, as we are probably at home a little more than normal, hanging around our friends and or more our family than normal, one of the strange things has been interacting with our pets. That it's like they know something's up. They know we're here more often than normal. And I've heard people talking about how their dogs are kind of like, well, what's happening? Why are you always around me? I need some alone time. And so, what makes for a good pet? Now, I gotta confess, I'm more of a dog guy, but I'm learning to love cats. But what makes for a good pet? You want to you got to have some cuddle going on. You got to have some kind of love to where they're nice and hang out with you. But you also need to have some level of, I guess, obedience is the word. Some level where they kind of do what you ask them to do. And so maybe if you take them for a walk, they won't pull too much, or they won't just completely ignore you. So that kind of takes cats out of the picture, and reptiles are kind of out of the picture a little bit there for the top pets in the world. Now, if you've been watching the Big Cat documentary that's been going around Netflix, that might take them out as well, because it's possible that those pets will eat you. So, a good pet is like you get to hang out, you get to love them, and then you get to, put them outside the room whenever, you want to go to bed. They don't have to bother you. Well, that kind of comes up in the book of Job. And the book of Job talks about how, Job is afflicted by a lot going on. And he starts making accusations to God, saying, God, why are you doing this? What's going on? What did I do? And finally, God says, you need to take a seat. And this is a good old-fashioned King James version. He says, gird your loins, prepare yourself, because I've got some questions for you. And part of Job goes around, so the Lord in in chapters 40 and 41, God's talking about how, like, where were you when I did all this in the world? Like, where were you whenever I created everything? And he starts going through a couple of the big mythical beasts. It's probably mythical. Some people don't know. Is it a dinosaur? Is it an alligator? We don't know what it is. In chapter 41, he says, can you draw out Leviathan with a fish hook? And that's probably like a crocodile type of serpent. Maybe it kind of sounds like a dragon sometimes. And he starts describing him. It's like, can you tame this? Will you play with him as with a bird, or will you put him on a leash for your girls? He says, are you going to make Leviathan your pet? This is a wild, amazing beast. You can't possibly tame this beast. And then in verse 10 it says, no one is so fierce that he dares to stir him up. And here's the catch. Who then is he who can stand before me? You see, he's saying that you try to make me your pet. You try to tame me and tell me what to do and not do, and put a hook in my mouth and lead me and tell me where to go. You can't. I'm not someone that you can tame and make your pet. But man, I do it all the time. That I want him to do what I want to do, and I want him to get out of the way when I want him to get out of the way. And I essentially want to have him be a lap dog and make me feel good, but then not get in my way. You see, Thomas came in with this in our last sermon in John 20, where Thomas was trying to figure out, is this Jesus risen? How can it be? It's not entirely possible. And then he actually met Jesus face to face, and his proclamation is anti-pet. He simply says in John 20, verse 28, my Lord and my God. Complete humility is saying, you are the master. He's not saying that we're God's pets, but he's saying that you are the one in charge. You are the master. You are God himself. You are mighty and majestic and pure and holy and loving and sovereign. He can breathe. He can be encouraged, because we don't have a divine pet to lead around on a leash. We actually have a divine Lord, a divine friend who has cared for us and loves us and walks with us. And in that, we can be fully encouraged. Amen.